This show is presented by the 323 Network. You can watch all your favorite 323 friends and shows on the 323 Network YouTube channel, follow us on all social media platforms at 323read, and support us as we continue to grow at patreon.com/323read. That's 323REID. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 323. I am your host, Reed Murphy.
I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Look at the show. I'm the captain now.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Fuck Scott.
That is right, folks. Welcome to another installment of College Shame Day. I am your host, Scott Ellia. And I know Halloween is right around the corner, but I would be remiss to be excited to announce that we are joined once again by the big bad voodoo daddy himself, Reed Murphy. 3 weeks in the books. We're on to week 4, and man, another wild week in college football. It looks like we have a great slate of games. I feel sorry for anybody who is stuck going to a wedding this Saturday with what games are on the lineup. I'm going to make it a point where from September through December, and maybe throw January in there, any Saturday wedding, I'm just not going to be going to unless it's for a very good reason. Because I just feel bad for these people.
I've got a couple of fall weddings coming up. And they're Saturdays. And I know, but they're going to be fun because I remember we had the engagement party for one of them last year, and it was right during that Tennessee-Alabama game. And we had a Tennessee fan there at the party, so I'm excited to see how that goes for them.
Oh, God.
It's always fun to watch them freak out. I don't think it's going as well. I don't think it'll be as exciting for them this year. They don't have to worry as much.
Right. Whatever. It's just Tennessee. Do we really care that much?
No.
But yeah, folks, before we jump into, the recap of this past week and looking forward to what's going on this weekend, a couple stories to note in college football. First and foremost, thoughts and prayers out to LSU safety Greg Brooks. For those who missed it, LSU starting safety Greg Brooks was diagnosed with a brain tumor last week and underwent surgery to remove the mass on Friday. Family released a statement confirming the successful surgery and mentioned they are awaiting the biopsy results for any further news. He actually missed the most recent game due to quote unquote a medical emergency. Thankfully, LSU coach Brian Kelly had refrained from providing specific details out of respect for the family. So hats off to you, Brian Kelly. I didn't know you had it in you to be a stand-up person.
At least for 1 week.
I guess. He still doesn't have any redeeming qualities, but thankfully they caught it when they did. They discovered it when Brooks was experiencing vertigo earlier this year, leading to an MRI that revealed the condition. I know Brian Kelly expressed that he wasn't really sure if Brooks was going to be returning to play this season, but he did say that he is determined to try to return. But when it comes to medical emergencies of this nature, that's when you just need to take the coaching hat off, and you just need to have that really great one-on-one conversation. Like, look, your health is your main concern. Game's a game at the end of the day. You need to take care of yourself. I don't know how you feel about that statement, Reed.
No, I agree with it, and especially with like all the different types of medical emergencies that we've been seeing lately, not just even in football, because I mean, obviously the first thing that comes to mind is Damar Hamlin and what happened there in Buffalo, but then recently with Bronny James with his, I think it was cardiac arrest as well.
Yep.
For him, it's just you have to watch your health, and at that point, if there's a medical emergency for one of these players or something that's flying on the radar, you got to handle that first, because that's the last thing anybody wants to see. It's the first thing that anybody should be concerned for. And if you want to look at the business side, it's the very last thing that any of the TV, any of the media networks, anything, any of the colleges, it's the last thing that they want is some type of medical emergency flaring up either on the sideline or on the field. It's the worst case scenario for any of them. So hearts and prayers, to Greg Brooks. I'm glad they caught that when they did. It's a scary situation. It happened with Trent Williams with the Washington football team a couple of years ago. So it's something that needs to be monitored, and good on them for catching it.
Absolutely. Especially when you see these kids and these athletes go out there, put their bodies on the line, you kind of forget that they're humans and they actually do have situations like this. So this is where you have to just separate the competitor and just the humanity out of everything. So yes, absolutely. Greg Brooks, hopefully you got a speedy recovery. Do what you have to do. Football will be there for you when you get back. But on to some lighter news and some more interesting news, because we're crossing the streams with football, and we're not talking about the NFL and college football. We're talking about soccer and college football, because Oregon State and Washington State, of course, they're preparing for a top 25 matchup this week. There's a strong possibility that both teams are going to be losing their Power 5 status next season. But Oregon State's athletic director, Scott Barnes, came out with a very interesting idea about exploring the potential promotion and relegation in college football, just like in professional soccer leagues. Boise State Associate Athletic Director Michael Walsh also came out and is beginning to draft a proposal for such system. Reed, how does that make you feel to see the potential dropping out of some of these Power 5 teams if they're not producing, dropping them down to Group of 5 and moving some of these Group of 5 teams up?
I'd be very curious to see how it's all designed and laid out. I am a fan of relegation. I'm a fan of the tactic when it comes to, at least in the pro sports model. I like it with soccer. I think it would be very cool if the NFL could make some type of partnership with the XFL, and to where, you have these shitty teams getting relegated down to a minor league of sorts, and you have to work your way back in. But with college, already, at least for me, especially as a very casual fan, the conference system is already complicated enough to me, and with realignment going all over the place, and I have no idea who is where anymore, even though I barely knew who was where anywhere from the start. A relegation period, that would be just extra madness to an already crazy pot.
The only way I could see this even potentially working is if we talked about this a couple weeks ago when Chip Kelly from UCLA came out saying that it's okay to keep the conferences kind of intact for other sports because they're not as massive as the football universe in college. I feel like if they went to the route where every college football team was independent and you had like a Power 5 conference and a Group of 5 conference, and you just did it that way, that's probably where it would work. But one of the other challenges that kind of come from this is media right contracts and the need for, distributors to drive that kind of change. Because when you talk about money and the potential of having a name like a Notre Dame or an Ohio State or an Alabama, they have one or two fluke years and they get dropped down to Group of 5 where they're not going to be able to be part of these TV deals and the attraction for networks. That's where a lot of that stickiness comes into play. I feel if this were to be a relevant tactic or a relevant idea for the future, you're going to need a larger brand in football to lead the charge on these potential systems, like a Bama or like an LSU or Georgia.
And it also brings up the question to me that I also have whenever it's come up as a possibility for, NBA, NFL, of if it's not an already, relegation is really cool if it's already established in a league, but once you're at a point where it's not a thing, why would any franchise, or in this case, why would any school agree to the threat of them possibly dropping out of an already popular conference or a popular system and into essentially a minor league?
Right. Well, especially like the bigger names, like these, like the top tier, what's the term they use in college basketball? The blue bloods.
Yeah.
These blue chip programs in the Power 5, not the Power 5, but the Power 5 teams. they'd be ones that wouldn't really want to do it. But I could see a lot of these mid-major schools and all these smaller programs that would be all for it because, hey, if we have a great year, we have a chance to move up, and that just means more money.
Yeah.
But no, and it's especially interesting because there was a minor Pac-12 update today as well. I mean, you have Washington State and Oregon State right now. They're both 3-0. Hats off to the Pac-12 going out with a bang this year. I think they have a total of 8 teams that are undefeated right now
Wow.
and in that top 25. So hats off to them. But especially for Washington State and Oregon State, they came out saying that they expect to have some more information within the next month as far as what the rebuilding process under the Pac-12 brand is going to be looking like, whether it's going to be viable or not. Of course, we covered last week about the legal case going over assets and the future direction as far as who's going to have that control for the Pac-12. Thankfully, that judge came out and told everyone else to go, pretty much in nice words, to go away. It's not you're already leaving. You threw the grenade on your way out the door. You have no say into this from here on out. But there was a joint news conference that was held by the presidents and the ADs of both schools, emphasizing their partnership in navigating through this uncertain future, which is great to see. In such a competitive environment, you're having schools like these two working together to fix this. I don't think I've ever heard of this happening before in college or in any sport. I don't know if you have.
No, it's really fun to see. It's a twist. It's cool to see. And you'd like to see some other areas in sports where people can come together and try to, fuck the rest of the system.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, the schools are definitely stressing the importance of informed decision making and the impact of, ongoing legal action because that restraining order is still kind of looming over the Pac-12. And I mean, hopefully they kind of figure it out. Despite waiting for more information, they're actively working on scheduling scenarios for the next year and expressing confidence in doing so in a timely fashion for the 24-25 season. So more to come there. But like I called kind of in that preseason show for this, this is going to be a problem that's not going to go away anytime soon. But something that did come out that shocked me this week is Reed. I don't know if you saw this, but Saban, I think he's jumping on the Primetime Express.
Oh, I don't think that he's jumping on it. I think he's been like Prime's biggest fan.
He's just been waiting at the next station, waiting for it to come on, a ticket in hand, just kind of at this point. For folks who missed it, Nick Saban, head football coach for Alabama, acknowledging the success of Deion Sanders as a head coach in Colorado by stating, "I have tremendous amount of respect for Deion Sanders. First, he's a great person, and he's done a great job of marketing the program, which I think we're all in agreement with that. He can market anything. But also saying program to create a lot of national interest. But I see their team playing well in the field as well. They play with discipline. They do a good job of executing. They've been able to score points, playing decent on defense. So all those things to me are indicators that he's a really good coach." Furthermore, he went on to say he's always been successful, whether it was at Jackson State, coaching high school, or now in Colorado. His teams have always been well coached. Do you feel with a name like Nick Saban coming out with remarks like that for lack of better words, a rookie head coach in college football, even though he really isn't with him prior being at Jackson State, do you think that's going to kind of calm the flames against him with everyone else? Or do you think this is going to further just create some kind of animosity against Deion?
I think it does really help Deion brings like a little bit more legitimacy to it when you're hearing somebody of that stature. I mean, that's the highest stature that you can get in college football today is Nick Saban. So I like that he came out and said that and offered his support to Deion with this because he's 100% right. The model that he has dictated now, Deion, in crafting this incredible media campaign and everything that he's done to bring Colorado to legitimacy, I guess that we can call it legitimacy. I'll let you address that a little later on, but it's undeniable when you're leading the season premiere of 60 Minutes following an interview with Vladimir Zelensky is then a profile on Deion Sanders and Colorado's success early on. I mean, that's incredible what he has done there. So it's really nice to see Saban offering that support, and I think you're right. It'll fan the flames a little bit, but it will calm people. No matter what, you're going to get that uproar and you're going to get the controversy, and it's nothing that Dion doesn't want. Dion will take any bad press is good press. Anything.
Oh, absolutely. No, Dion is one that will not shy away from the spotlight, whether good or bad or ugly. He's going to take it in stride. He's going to use it to his advantage. And kudos to him. I feel okay, here's where it's going to start. So, I want to preface this by saying that I commend Dion for doing what he's doing, especially in Colorado, who haven't been really a relevant force in college football for probably about 2 decades. You know, they had a really great push there in the 80s and 90s. They had a really great season a couple times there in the early 2000s. But with that being said, where my beef with Colorado comes into play, it's not the coaching staff, it's not the players cuz he has studs all over the place. I will commend him by coming out in defense of Blackburn from Colorado State and saying that it's an absolutely just travesty of these fans and these people across the country calling his family and for himself calling in death threats and all these kind of things. So hats off to Dion for that. That's awesome.
Because
I'm
that's
really glad.
because that's coming off the Travis Hunter hit, right? Henry was the one who.
Yeah, Blackburn was the one that came and delivered that blow to Travis Hunter, the dual threat wide receiver cornerback for Colorado. He's going to be out for 3 weeks for what I saw was a liver injury. I don't know if you saw anything different, but that's got to be scary. A quick comment on that hit. If you go back and look at it, these kids are flying. And if you look at the angle of Blackburn, he has the other defender in between him and Travis Hunter. He doesn't have a good eye on the ball if Travis actually makes it or not. By the time he makes it there, it's already too late. I mean, you have players in the past that make a name for themselves off delivering hits like this, like Sean Taylor's, like Ray Lewis's, like Ed Reed's, like Troy Polamalu's, just to name a few. So was it a clean hit? Not 100%, but like Dion said, it's a football play. Travis Hunter even came out saying he has no ill will or animosity against him, which is great to hear that kind of support as well. Where my beef with Colorado comes into play is with the media and the brand new fan base that came out of nowhere. So I want to introduce a new segment onto this show. Maybe we'll do it once a week, or maybe we'll do it when I'm feeling a little riled up from the fan base that keeps chirping back at me on Instagram. For those who haven't seen that yet, check it out at 323 College Shame Day on Instagram, 323 Read on Facebook and Instagram. You can listen to the previous episode that we had recorded for Ricks versus Gricks. We touched about it there a little bit there, but I don't want to give these fan base more time on my show as I need to. So the segment is called Shame Talks, where we just ring the bell of shame against some unsuspecting individual. And today, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, it's for sports media and the hype train that is Colorado football. Now, anybody who knows me knows I have a touch of the ADHD. I can ramble a little bit. I got ideas going all over the place. So for this, I really sat down and I wanted to eloquently get all of my ideas out there on paper, just so that way nothing's skewed and Reed doesn't distract me. So, ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished guests, today, I stand before you to delve deeper into a matter of growing concern within the realm of sports: the media's tendency to excessively amplify the achievements of teams and the repercussions of bandwagon fans that often trail in their wake. To do this, I'd like to expound upon the recent examples of the Colorado Buffaloes, who currently hold an impeccable 3-0 record, Their well-deserved success, including a thrilling double overtime victory last week over Colorado State, has been overshadowed by these issues. To begin, let us recognize the celebration of team successes and is indeed a beautiful and unifying aspect of sports. It binds communities, it fosters school spirit, and grants fans cherished moments of jubilation and excitement. However, a perilous threshold lies between genuine enthusiasm and the extravagant magnification we often witness in today's media. The Colorado Buffaloes, with their flawless 3-0 record, have unquestionably enjoyed an exceptional season thus far. This remarkable journey, led by their dedicated head coach, Deion Sanders, has included a heart-pounding double overtime victory over Colorado State that stands as a vivid testament to the resilience and determination. However, amidst the celebrations and commendations, we must not lose sight of the potential pitfalls that can accompany excessive magnification. The media's tendency to excessively amplify the achievements of teams inadvertently places an immense burden of unrealistic expectations on the shoulders of both players and coaching staff. These inflated expectations, while stemming from a place of admiration, can lead to considerable pressure that affects performance and morale. Suddenly, every match becomes a high-stakes showdown, and the very essence of the sport can be eclipsed by anxiety and stress. It is essential to remember that athletes are human beings, not invincible superheroes, and they deserve to relish their accomplishments without the looming shadow of extravagant exaggeration. Furthermore, the phenomenon of bandwagon fans that typically accompanies this excessive magnification can significantly disrupt the team's culture. These fair-weather fans jump on the successful bandwagon when the team is winning, but conveniently disappear during challenging times. True fans who have witnessed the Buffalo's journey from the beginning to now tripling to this point their last season's win total are the lifeblood of any sports team, providing unwavering support through both victories and defeats, including the victory we saw last week with Colorado State. In stark contrast, bandwagon fans foster a superficial and opportunistic atmosphere surrounding the team. In addition, it is worth noting that amid this season's success, Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur Sanders, has garnered attention and is being included in Heisman conversations alongside renowned names like Caleb Williams, Jordan Travis, and Michael Penix Jr. Shedeur's impressive performance on the field has rightfully earned him a place in these discussions, adding to the excitement surrounding the Buffalo season. And of course, it's important to reflect on the journey that has brought Shedeur Sanders to this point. Many of the same talking heads in the media that once doubted his potential for success in the FBS level, even before he played at Jackson State, which competes in the FCS level. This serves as a poignant reminder of how athletes can defy expectations and shine regardless of preconceived notions. In conclusion, while it is crucial to applaud the achievements of teams like Colorado, we must remain vigilant against the media's propensity to extravagantly magnify and the potential pitfalls of bandwagon fandom. Let us support our teams with authentic enthusiasm, unwavering loyalty, and a pragmatic understanding of that comes hand in hand with the world of sports. By doing so, we can foster a more authentic, enduring sports culture that benefits players, fans, and communities at large. Thank you.
I like it.
I bet you didn't think I knew some of those words.
For a second there, I thought you didn't know some of those words.
Strategic pauses.
Strategery.
Strategery. But no. To sum it up, bandwagon fans keep chirping. You're going to drop off at some point. The hype train of the media, they're going to fall off at some point. And I just hope that what Colorado has accomplished up to this point isn't lost into the ether simply because they lose one game. But hopefully that's a nice little period to the end of the chapter of my shade with Colorado.
I'll sum it up and I'll open up a chapter. What Scott's really trying to say is, Colorado bandwagon fans, keep my name out your motherfucking mouth.
You know what? Couldn't have said it better myself.
Slap. I mean,
fuck them.
Look, I will bring up one counterpoint.
Here we go.
You are an FSU fan, correct? You do not have great feelings towards the University of Miami, nor
Absolutely
their fans.
not.
That's correct. So, the one crew of Bandwagon fans, it has to have made you happy to see 1 week Michael Irvin and Warren Sapp on the Colorado sidelines with Deion, hyping him up and hyping the team up and acting as consultants. And then a couple weeks later, the likes to post himself as the face of the University of Miami, Dwayne Johnson, popping up on College Game Day wearing a Shedeur Sanders Colorado jersey.
I won't say that I didn't enjoy that. No, it's a very great point that you brought up, and one I think a lot of fans kind of miss out on, especially. And don't get me wrong, I love what Deion's doing with Colorado. I love that he's bringing in a whole brand new fan base that never really gave college football a chance. But a lot of these new fans, what they need to understand is, at the end of the day, there's a lot more to this than just the hype, than just the flash and the gold glasses and the chains and the wrist flex. Like, there's so much more to this game than what they're really kind of figuring out. And hopefully they can catch up to speed.
And what I'll bring to it is, and what the part that I enjoy as a semi bandwagon fan of this experience, like I've been enjoying it, and I've been enjoying Shedeur Sanders and getting to know this team, but it's also the black excellence point of it, where you're seeing a coach like Deion kind of be unapologetically black and being this way as a head coach of a major college football team, which is already pretty rare enough to see black head coaches doing well or even making a name for themselves in this sport. And you're seeing Deion bring this unapologetic black excellence to Colorado, of all places, in a effort to, probably move up. I originally was saying in 2 years. I could see that being fast tracked now, especially if they pull off one of these wins against Oregon or USC. So I think there is definitely a high level of appreciation in the bandwagon towards that particular facet of what's happening there with Deion and Colorado. But there are plenty of other people that I'm sure that are in those stands that never thought about going to a game before, that aren't there for any of the, any of that part of it, that they are simply there to just cash in on a fun time that's happening right now. We see that all the time. We're from the DMV. We see that all the time in DC. That's what made the DC Defenders so great in the XFL. It's just a thing. It's a vibe for a minute. And I'm with you. I'm curious to see if all that love and appreciation is still there if they lose to Oregon or to USC. I'm also very curious to see how much this expands if they beat Oregon or USC.
Oh, it's going to expand exponentially. But yeah, the drop off is what worries me the most, especially because you're kind of seeing it right now with these HBCU schools and the SWAC, where, when Deion was there, they were getting national attention. They were front headlines on ESPN, whether it was them or Bethune-Cookman or, any of these other schools. And now that Deion's not there, it's just crickets. I haven't heard a single thing mentioned. And that's what worries me the most, is that once the drop off happens, is if it's going to be a steep fall for Colorado.
And it's true, because you see it with Jackson State. They've had some pretty good. Their new coach TC Taylor has had some pretty good, impressive wins. I think they're 2-2 right now. But in the start of the season, they were doing very well. They had a very impressive win to start the season, and there was next to no media coverage about it.
Right. And to put a final note in this before we move forward with the rest of the show, I just want to give my unwavering support to FSU legend Deion Sanders. Hopefully you can continue proving a lot of these haters wrong. To the media and the bandwagon fans, go fuck yourselves.
Well said.
Oh, man. Let's get into the meat and potatoes he likes to say. Let's go over the other wacky and crazy things that happened last week. A lot of these games seeing some more, oddly enough, strangely close games and still seeing blowouts. 3 weeks into college football. Starting off with Bethune-Cookman, like we just mentioned, against 22 Miami, routing them 48-7. Miami is now 3-0 on the season. Whatever. Another game that was close, and I thought they were going to have it get away from them, was South Carolina going into Georgia, number 1 ranked Georgia, and almost upsetting them. They were up 14-3 going into half, but Georgia rallies back to win 24-14. So, of course, they're still sitting at the top of the college football universe. Bowling Green traveling to number 2 Michigan. Of course, Michigan wins 31-6. Blake Horn puts up another 100-yard game. I'm really excited to see more from him and see what that looks like to translate into the NFL, if that's in the cards for him. This is the game that was too close for comfort for me on a personal note. Number 3 Florida State traveling to Boston to go against Boston College and squeaking out of there 31-29. Boston College put up 13 unanswered points in the fourth. And I feel this was more of a trap game for Florida State. Of course, we're traveling again on the road against Clemson in a premier ACC matchup. And I feel that they were looking ahead at that, and Boston College almost snuck away in that red bandana game. But hey, win's a win. Still 3-0. Wyoming versus Texas. Texas goes 31-10. Western Kentucky traveling to number 6 Ohio State, and this is, of course, another blowout happens. Ohio State over them 63-10. Penn State traveling on the road to Illinois, winning 30-13. What was hoping to be my game of the week last week, but now with the Mel Tucker news, I kind of had to pivot away. Number 8 Washington traveling to East Lansing to play against Michigan State and completely blowing their shit up 41-7. Sorry, guys. Don't think you're going to be vying for that Big Ten title this year. Central Michigan traveling to number 9 Notre Dame. Notre Dame gets the win 41-17. Another game that shocked me because I could have sworn Alabama was going to travel to South Florida and just completely blow their shit up as well, especially coming off that loss to Texas at home, but just won a mere 17-3. Nick Saban comes out and is now pivoting back away at the quarterback position. I don't know anymore. I don't know who it's going to be week to week, but whatever. Florida getting the upset underdog victory at home against number 11 Tennessee 29-16. I feel like I called that last week. You might want to fact check me on that. Number 12 Utah beating Weber State 31-7. Number 13 Oregon winning at home 55-10 against Hawaii. Number 14 LSU winning 41-14 against Mississippi State. The upset that shocked everyone. Missouri, who is now 3-0, getting that last second 61-yard game-winning field goal against number 15 Kansas State. Congrats to you guys in Missouri. Just further proving that it doesn't matter where you fall in the SEC. It's just as talented at the top that it is at the bottom. A team we mentioned earlier on, number 16 Oregon State beating San Diego State 26-9 to move to 3-0 on the year. Same thing with Ole Miss, who is now 3-0 on the year, beating Georgia Tech 48-23. We've already talked about that Colorado State thrilling double overtime game. Colorado squeaks that victory out 43-35. They move on to go play on the road against Oregon. So hopefully they move on and they can actually be competitive there. Oklahoma completely destroying Tulsa on the road 66-17. UNC also beating Minnesota at home 31-13. Duke and Northwestern 38-14. Duke and UNC. Like we talked about before, folks, these traditional blue blood basketball teams are both 3-0, and they're both nationally ranked. Never thought I would see this, but hey, I guess parity is alive and well in college football. And to round out the rest of these top 25 games from last week, Washington State destroying Northern Colorado. Reed, did you even know Northern Colorado had a football team?
Is that just, the northern campus of Coach Prime's school?
I don't know. I didn't even know. You look at their logo and you think it's just a a fake school. I have no idea, but they destroyed them 64-21. Sorry, Northern Colorado. And another one, Northern Carolina. North Carolina, what is it? North Carolina Coastal? North Carolina Central Eagles. Another one of those logos that looked like it was generated by EA Sports. UCLA completely routing them 59-7, and Iowa over Western Michigan 41-10. Well, what does that mean as far as the national landscape? So, with that close win in Boston College, Florida State and Texas are going to be flip-flopping 3-4. So Texas is now 3 and Florida State is 4. Oregon moves up 3 spots to 10. Oklahoma moves up 3 spots to 16, along with UNC and Duke also move up 3 spots to 17 and 18, respectively. But if you remember last week, Colorado was 18. What happened to Colorado? They actually dropped down a spot to 19, which, I mean, it's pretty deserving with the amount of talent, and you're at home and you're, 20-plus point favorites going against Colorado State, and you have to go to double overtime. It makes sense why they dropped down a little bit. So thankfully, it was only just 1 spot. Alabama finally falling out of the top 10 in what seems like forever. They dropped down 3 spots to 13. And Tennessee, poor Tennessee, after that upset victory on the road, dropping 12 spots down to 23. I think their season is pretty much done, to say the least. A lot of great performances, especially for a lot of these Heisman hopefuls. I think Caleb Williams still sits firmly in that number 1 spot. Last week, posting 19 for 21 for 281 yards, 3 touchdowns against Stanford. He now moves to 55 and 70 for 870 and 12 touchdowns, no picks on the year. So he's continuing his excellence. Someone who I feel is going to give him the best run for his money just based off of his production and what he's been able to do is Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback out of Washington. Last week was 27 for 35 for 473 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions against Michigan State. On the year, Reed, he's 84 for 113, 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 1 pick. He has to eclipse Caleb Williams at some point if he keeps this up, right?
You would think so, but I think it's still that Caleb Williams has the hype factor. He has the hype factor and the national recognition factor. I've seen a lot more. Well, I've not say a lot more. I've seen plenty of Caleb Williams highlights. I haven't seen any highlights of Michael Penix Jr. as a casual goer. I need to seek them out.
Yeah, you probably won't unless you're kind of in that Pac-12 universe, or if Washington is somehow your favorite college football team in the world. They kind of get kicked to the wayside. The dark horse, I feel like, if he's able to win impressively against Ohio State next week, it's going to be Notre Dame quarterback Sam Hartman, the recent transfer from Wake Forest. Last week against Central Michigan, posting 16 for 26 for 330 and 3 touchdowns. He moves past the 1,000-yard mark for the season. Another one of those 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I think, like I said, if he comes out steamrolling Ohio State, I think he's one that plummets straight up to number 1. If not, he's a very close number 2. Another one in recent weeks that's kind of raised his name into this Heisman watch conversation is Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers, who posted 11 for 21 for 131 and 2 touchdowns against Wyoming. Stat line's kind of meh compared to the other 2. He's put up 740 passing yards for the season and 8 touchdowns. Jordan Travis drops down a little bit too, especially after that embarrassing win last week against Boston College. I mean, he still put up 220 and 2 touchdowns, which is great. But if you're going against that team, you would expect a little bit more production, which, hey, you're just happy to get out of a win. And it wouldn't be Heisman talk without Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Last week, posting 38 for 47 for 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, and his first pick of the season, moving him to an impressive 107 for 136 for passing, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Do you think if he gets that win next week, either against Oregon or the following week with USC, do you think he's one that's going to get that serious look at the top spot?
Oh, 100%. 100%, because he has looked every bit of it, to be honest. That game, that drive that he had in double overtime, I wasn't awake to watch it, but I enjoyed the highlights of how he led that. And I mean, shit. You want him to have a great performance. I honestly want them to get the win against Oregon just to get the hype of that, that face-off between him and Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can, if they muster up a win against Oregon and he, or at least still has an impressive performance, low on turnovers, I think he rises up in there. And if you can hold your own with Caleb Williams, shit, he might be the one. It'd be unfortunate for ones like Michael Penix Jr.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think you're right. If they're able to travel to Oregon and get that win, and you go into USC week and they're both undefeated teams and they're the number 1 and number 2 potential Heisman candidates, you already know where College Game Day is going. They're going straight to that. So, hey. Oh, and it's in Colorado again. Could you imagine the production that's going to happen in Colorado?
Oh, my God. Dwayne Johnson's going to rip right through that jersey.
But no, I'm glad you brought up that game-tying 97-yard drive that he had posted. I think he had sub 2 minutes on drive. I think he only had like a minute 45, a minute 50. So he was in that 2-minute drill. Of course, that was not only College Game Days, but that was College Shame Days Game of the Week last week. Another really great thing to know too, I think one thing that's kind of working against them is the wins that they're getting. Of course, they got that season opening victory against then ranked 17 TCU, who is now not even in the top 25. They're not really relevant. And then Nebraska, who is just completely inept at everything of football. And then you have that thrilling double overtime victory in Colorado State. I think that's what's kind of playing against him. I mean, you had Braden Fowler, Nicolosi, the quarterback from Colorado State, who put up very similar numbers. 34 for 47, 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. One of those going to Shador's brother, Shiloh Sanders, who was actually returned that for a touchdown. So congrats to Shiloh on that one. That was a really great thing to watch. But I want to kind of hyper-focus on that 3 interceptions because I feel like that game, as much as I want to commend the Colorado team as a whole for winning that out and Shador Sanders for his fantastic performance, I feel like that was more or less Colorado State shooting themselves in the foot. They had 4 total turnovers. I mean, they controlled the possession time by at least 9 minutes over what Colorado had it for, but the penalties were out of control. They had 17 total penalties for 182 yards. I mean, if you even have half of those, you're giving yourself a better chance. But hey, I digress. That's enough Colorado talk. We want to look forward to this week. College Game Day on ESPN. They're going to be traveling to the Ohio State Notre Dame game, number 6 versus number 9. But this isn't College Game Day, Reed. What is this?
It's Shame Day.
This is College Shame Day, and shame on you, ESPN, for not going to the true game of the week. And I'm talking about the Pac-12, the Pac-2 championship game. Number 14, Oregon State, traveling to number 21, Washington. Both teams are 3-0. Congrats to you guys. Cheers to you. And talk about a pair of quarterbacks that are going to be lighting the world on fire. I'm not going to embarrass myself because ever since I saw him on the Netflix special, I have never been able to say his last name. So I'm saying DJU.
Oh, whoa.
I'm not trying to get canceled.
Yeah. No, I've seen that name. I have never once been able to
not attempting it. I don't want the sound bite. But recent transfer from Clemson on the years, posted 42 for 68 for 630 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. But more impressively, Washington State's quarterback Cameron Ward, 78 for 108, 986 yards, and 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I feel like this is going to be a very heavy scoring game. It's going to be back and forth the whole time. And I couldn't be excited more for it. Because honestly, if there's any 2 teams in college football I couldn't care less about, it's Notre Dame and Ohio State and their fandoms. So just like how he said to the Colorado hype train bandwagon fans, to the fans of Notre Dame and Ohio State, you can go fuck yourselves too. Oh yeah, and there's a lame-o of the week, Shane. There's a lame-o of the week, Reed.
I dare you to make it the College Game Day game of the week.
No, it's even worse. It's New Mexico and UMass.
Oof.
For those fans of the show, keeping track of the lames of the week so far, this is the second time that New Mexico's been up here. And there's a reason. You look at the power rankings for college football teams, these two are firmly planted in the basement. Just one word is gross. Just don't do it. Oh, man. But it wouldn't be College Shame Day without the most exciting part of the show.
Us trying to pronounce DJ Uiagalele's name?
No, but you got a hell of a lot closer than I ever would have. No, folks, it's the Wheel of Degenerate. That's right. We trust the fates. Spin the wheel of shame 5 times for all these top 25 games, whatever 5 land on. We're going to go ahead and make a quick 5-pick parlay. I'm not going to talk about last week because, of course, Scott lost again. But hopefully there's some hope for this week. So, just want to recap some of these games that we got coming up this week. We got Rutgers at number 2, Michigan. Number 4, Florida State at Clemson. Number 16, Oklahoma at Cincinnati. Number 19, Colorado at number 10, Oregon. 22, UCLA at 11, Utah. 15, Ole Miss at 13, Alabama. 18, Duke at UConn, which you think it was March Madness, but hey, cool. Number 20, Miami at Temple. UTSA at 23, Tennessee. Arkansas on the road at 12, LSU. College Shame Day game of the week, 14, Oregon State at 21, Washington State. Charlotte traveling to the swamp at 25, Florida. UAB going to Georgia, number 1. 3, Texas at Baylor. 6, Ohio State at 9, Notre Dame. 24, Iowa at 7, Penn State. 17, USC at Pitt. 5, USC at Arizona State. And to round it all out, Cal at number 8, Washington. Reed, are you ready for this?
I'm so ready. I love wheels to spin.
Let's give it a spin, folks.
Oh, listen to that dinging.
Love it. So, first game on the slate, and it couldn't make more sense. We've got number 4, Florida State University at Clemson. Wow, they're really tempting me on this one. Jesus Christ. All right, let's remove him from the wheel, Reed. You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, God, this is going to be
FSU
bad.
at Clemson. I'm actually very curious about that one.
And here we go again. Reed, you talked it into reality. We got number 6 Ohio State and number 9 Notre Dame. So now I'm forced to make a pick, and I don't want to make a pick, but I guess I'll make a pick.
And you're making a pick for money.
And it's gonna be on money, which is if I lose, it's gonna make me hate that team even more.
Again,
round and round the wheel goes. Where's it gonna stop? Nobody knows.
Instagram 323 College Shame Day to see the picks.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna tell you what the picks are. We're going to put the betting slip on Instagram at 323 College Shame Day. So if you want to bet along, I do not advise it because I don't want to be the reason why you lose your rent money. But if you want to go for broke, join me. Come join me on my hype train. But number 3, we got the March Madness Classic. 18 Duke at UConn. Look at that, Reed.
Oh, those Dukies.
Oh, those Blue Devils.
Those motherfuckers.
Very ACC heavy thus far. We got Florida State up there. We got Duke up there. We got Notre Dame up there. Man, this is wild. Let's give it another spin for number 4.
Who will we get?
Oh, man. I'm already getting tired from this.
It's a lot of hand spinning.
I was worried it's going to keep going a little further north of that landing spot. But no, folks. We got number 5 USC traveling to Arizona State, who are in shambles right now.
Yeah.
I think they're without like 10 starters on offense.
10 starters. They voluntarily suspended themselves from bowl eligibility because of shit that Herm Edwards oversaw, and now Herm Edwards is right back on ESPN. Like nothing happened.
I feel bad for Kenny Dillingham. He's the new head coach for Arizona State. He recently left Oregon. So sorry, guys. But just to recap, Florida State at Clemson, Duke at UConn, Ohio State at Notre Dame, USC at Arizona State, and the 5th and final game for the College Shame Day Wheel of Degenerate betting slip of the week, 3 Texas at Baylor. And I will tip my hand here. Smelling an upset.
Whoa.
smelling an upset.
Whoa.
I don't know what it is about this Texas-Baylor rivalry that we got going on in Texas. I feel like it's going to be a little closer than people think.
I'm super curious about this.
Oh,
I can't wait
folks.
to see it.
I'm right there with you. It's going to be a great time. But like I said, Reed, rattling off all those games, now you see why college football is the greatest time of year. We got all these marquee top 25 matchups. I feel sorry if someone's going to a wedding or if their significant other is roping them in going to a pumpkin patch or apple picking or the farmer's market all day, because I can tell you where I'm going to be all day Saturday. It's going to be firmly planted in this chair that you can see if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel 323. Reed, where else can they find you?
They can find me, of course, at 323 REID on all social media platforms. Just like you said, the 323 Network on YouTube is where you can see our beautiful faces. It's going to be a awful, awful weather day for Saturday, especially in the DMV with remnants of a hurricane coming through. So, yes, I'm going to be right with you. I'll be editing and doing stuff and enjoying some college football. And, hey, before I go, I never leave you without, having done my homework on the show.
Wait. Cut the music. Yes, Reed?
I looked up notable alumni from the University of Northern Colorado.
Oh, it actually exists? It's not a Bishop Sycamore situation?
It is a real college that has seen the likes of some NFL talent. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneer Vincent Jackson went to Northern Colorado. Rest in peace, by the way. I just learned that he died. Former Eagles punter Dirk Johnson. Former Washington, at the time, Redskins safety Reed Dowdy, who I liked because his name was Reed. And the biggest of alumni here, Captain Sully Sullenberger, who saved that plane in New York.
Wow.
Yep. Old
Good for him.
River Sully. Yep. Those are notable alumni of University of Northern Colorado.
Any person who can have a movie based off of their life in some way, shape, or form and have Tom Hanks play you there's no other high. It's right up there.
You're basically saying Tom Hanks went to Northern Colorado.
Oh, absolutely. He's America's dad.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. But yeah, folks, that is it for this installment of College Shame Day. Make sure to check out all the social medias, 323 College Shame Day on Instagram. Check us out on Spotify or wherever you stream your podcast. Who am I to tell you what to do? My own kids don't even listen to me. I don't expect you guys to listen to me. And just remember, if you're not going to be good at it. Have a very shameful day. We'll see you next time.
Fuck Scott.